The Counter-ALEC convention going on all weekend here at the Fountain Bar. As you may know, ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, is in Salt Lake City right now, meeting, discussing policies, trying to implement laws here in the state of Wisconsin. And we are very honored to have one of the good assembly representatives here, Kelda Rose, who is running for Congress, and she is here to talk about her campaign.
No way!
Thank you. Well, I'm delighted to be here, and I can tell you that Assembly Democrats and Senate Democrats are united in opposing the corporate-funded ALEC agenda. We know if we're going to be successful as progressives in enacting progressive policies for education, to combat climate change, to make sure everybody has access to affordable health care and housing, to take care of the poor and vulnerable, we have to counter this corporate-dominated political system. And we're going to work together to build that movement to do that.
All right!
I think we in Wisconsin have started an incredible movement because we stood up and fought back when our rights were being threatened. When corporate-funded politicians attempted to take our state backwards 70 to 100 years, we didn't just take it, we fought back. We came together, we protested together, we marched together, we slept at the Capitol together, and we showed that we were not going to take it lying down. We care about having a society of opportunity. We care about a society where everyone can succeed. We care about making sure that our government is transparent and it works for the people and not for the special interests, not for the wealthiest corporations, not for the top 1% of 1%. We want a government and a society that works for everybody. And, well, as somebody who holds elective office, and I feel very privileged to do so, I can tell you that the change we need is not merely the change of who's in that building or who's in the one that's like it in Washington, D.C. The change we need starts with all of us. We have to be very active and vigilant. As we elect our representatives, we've got to make sure we're supporting people who will counter not only the policies of ALEC and their corporate backers, but also the style of politics that they want to have, a secretive one where the one who has the most money is the one that gets the policy, ones where they're free to make a backroom deal out of the public's purview. That's what we have to counter. And so it's not enough to just elect the right people. We also have to make sure that the people we elect do the right thing once they're in office. And that's a job that goes on day after day after day, not just during election season. My commitment to all of you is that I will do everything I can to make sure that our government at the federal, state, and local levels is a government that's transparent, that works on behalf of all people, and that combats anyone, any corporation or special interest that tries to capture government for its own purposes against the public's interest. And I ask you to stand with me in doing this. We got to do more than vote and give money and rally. We got to work every single day to make sure that our neighbors understand how critical this is, because it's our democracy that's at stake. So I thank you all for being here. I thank you for being partners in this struggle. And I thank you very, very much for the opportunity to be with you today to stand against ALEC and their corporate agenda. Thank you.
Been involved in suing General Motors over 700 times and has never lost, has won major cases, and knows a great deal about what kind of policies that ALEC has been putting in place here in Wisconsin. Ladies and gentlemen, please clap your hands for Vince Magna.
Oh, you too. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Miles.
All right.
One thing Miles didn't say
Are you videoing?
is that
For what?
I'm a last
For
minute,
your
I'm
own
a replacement
archives?
speaker.
Yeah, for us.
The database.
And I'm a replacement speaker for Robin Boss, who was supposed to speak here and kick off this anti-ALEC affair, but he couldn't make it because he's evicting over 35 families tonight in his apartments in Janesville and Madison. So he texted me a little while ago saying that I should relay his apologies to you, because we know that Robin Boss is a tremendous friend of the little guy, and he wishes he could have been here, and it's unfortunate, but I'm gonna take his place. Okay, I've got the Mercedes hood ornament on. It's actually a grill ornament, and that's because I don't know if you've seen the video, but right now I have the biggest judgment against any auto manufacturer in the United States. And I'm talking about, it's a $618,000 judgment against Mercedes-Benz for selling a defective car. And last week, I garnished all of the Mercedes-Benz dealers in the state of Wisconsin because they don't want, Mercedes doesn't want to pay up. So I've garnished all the dealers in an effort to force Mercedes to pay the money. This particular case has been going on for 6.5 years. And they're a tough company to fight with. They love to fight, and even when they lose, they lost finally 2 months ago at the Supreme Court, and they still won't pay. So we've garnished the dealers. We're going to pick up Mercedes-Benz cars, and then we're going to auction them off if they don't give us the money by next Monday. We also will garnish their bank accounts throughout this state and throughout any state that they're in. But it shows you, even when a big company loses a huge fight, they still fight. They still don't want to give you what you want. And it's been going on for 6.5 years. And I mentioned that's a big case, and these cases get in the newspaper. And we've had a lot of big cases, $500,000 in attorney's fees. But that isn't my point. The point is, when we get that kind of money in attorney's fees, it allows us to handle small cases where people get screwed out of $2,000 or $3,000. We can still take those cases, mainly because if we hit Toyota or Mercedes for $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000, that will provide us enough money so that we can still take the little cases, which are actually just as important as the big cases. And people don't understand what Walker and Voss, especially Voss, he was behind. What they've done in Wisconsin is cap the attorney's fees in virtually every consumer type of action at 3 times the amount in controversy. They've destroyed 285 laws in this state. And the problem with it is people with smaller cases can't even find lawyers today. Lawyers are stopping from handling these cases because a lot of the young lawyers and even some of the older lawyers don't understand what's happening, and they do not think that they can, it's not only not profitable, but they can't afford to do these. And one of the biggest areas that has suffered the most is landlord-tenant, where a tenant is trying to get a security deposit back. That's why Voss is evicting everybody, because he doesn't have to give the security deposit back. You can't force them. It's virtually impossible today to hire a lawyer to go up against the landlord over a $600 or $700 security deposit. So if the landlord doesn't want to give you that deposit, you're just not going to get it. And we need to actually, I know people hate lawyers, I do understand that, but lawyers can be good, especially in consumer areas. And we need to, and I'm trying to encourage younger lawyers to get into this area because we need them. Right now, I'm getting about 50 calls a week at my office. And that's not because I'm so popular. It's because other lawyers are dropping out. They're just not taking any cases. So I've got one other lawyer, a paralegal, and then a part-time lawyer. So there's no way we can handle those type of cases unless we bring in some other people, other lawyers who can learn how to do this effectively so that cases, whether they're large or small, can be adequately represented. And that is one of my goals since Walker on December 8th destroyed Wisconsin consumer protection, making us one of the absolute worst states in the United States. No state in the United States has put a cap of 3 times damages on consumer cases. It's absolute. He is a criminal. These signs are right. Voss is a criminal too, and there's I mean, they just don't care about anybody. They don't care about the homeless. They don't care about the poor. They don't care about the lower class. They don't care about the upper lower class. They don't even care about the middle class. It's just the Koch brothers and people like that. That's who they care about. So we've got to work together, especially in the bar. And I'm not here to promote lawyers. I'm really not, but I'm saying we do need some to come in and do these cases, even though there's not a lot of money involved. Once in a while, you might get a case and take it to a company. Last year, I tried 2 cases against Toyota. I hate this company. It's one of the worst companies when you have problems. 2 small cases. One case was a $10,000 case. The other case was a $7,100 case. They made no offers in these cases. One client would have settled for $5,000. Nothing. They took them to trial. They lost. They paid us $225,000 in lawyer fees in 2 cases. In each case. That's almost $500,000. They also paid their lawyer $500,000 to fight 2 consumers. One was a Janesville firefighter who got $10,000 had he would have taken 5. They spent $1 million fighting us so they wouldn't have to pay him $5,000. And that's the honest truth. It's all on CCAP, but records. I hate Toyota. They are absolutely, they're worse than Mercedes. They're the worst manufacturer in the world right now when it comes to people having trouble. And I can back that up because we deal with them all the time. But you know, when you go up against Toyota, you are going to have a battle on your hands. And no matter how good your case is, they're going to just fight you and think they're going to win. The only way we can succeed here is just by beating them and letting them know when you lose, you're going to pay. If you want to spend $1 million to save $17,000, you go right ahead, because we're going to take that money and we're going to make money on that, but it's going to allow me next time a guy calls with a $3,500 case, I can take it because it's not that big of a deal. We don't have to make a fortune on every case, but somebody has to represent consumers on these type of cases. So that's what, thank you. that's what we're trying to do. And let me see, I had a couple of other, I want to say a couple of other things. First of all, I know many of you have seen my videos, and I encourage you to watch the videos on YouTube. If you want a book, you can have a book tonight. Just it's a book on the lemon law, which is what I guess my specialty would be. It's endorsed by Michael Moore. It's a good book, and it explains to you how that type of warranty law works. So please come up and ask her. They're around here. But I do want to talk about another type of case that the fee cap has dramatically hurt, and this is against a big dealer in Milwaukee, Rosen. I don't know if Rosen's in Madison, but it's a big dealer. They're in Milwaukee and they're in Illinois. And I'll tell you, I've got 6 cases pending against Rosen right now, all for the same thing. And what it is, they falsify credit applications. They take advantage of people on Social Security, minimum income, and they will triple their income. A person comes in receiving about $900 a month, and they'll sell him a car. And on the credit applications, they will show that he makes $2,700 a month. He'll get the loan, and 3, 4, 5 months later, he can't afford it. They repossess the car, and he still owes the money. And but Rosen got its money. They get their money from the bank. Well, I've got 6 cases pending against them right now, all with that same set of facts. And I'll tell you this, meaning we could never talk about that case, that I could never talk about that case. I talked it over with my client because I will not sign one. I will never sign one. I'm going to talk about this stuff wherever I go, and I'm going to mention their names, and they want you to be quiet. They want to put a gag in your mouth so that you can't mention how these dealers are screwing people every single day. So we would not sign the confidentiality agreement, and the settlement fell through. My client didn't get any money, we didn't get the attorney's fees, and I told him, we're just going to go to trial, because when we go to trial and win the case, we can talk about it to anybody, and the newspaper will report it. They've reported one settlement with Rosen, and that's why they want confidentiality, but we will not sign it. Far too many attorneys agree to sign confidentiality, so none of this stuff gets out. The attorney for the attorney for the victims in all of the abuse cases against the Catholic Church, Jeff Anderson, who has his Wisconsin office in my office. Jeff Anderson has never signed a confidentiality agreement with any of the dioceses that he's sued, and he's won multi-million-dollar verdicts, and they could offer him an extra $5 million. He will not sign it, because then he can never talk about it. And lawyers have to get some balls and just stop signing this shit. The lawyers, they're the biggest problem. They just, oh, sure, well, we'll sign it. It's just a matter of course now. You settle a PI case, we sign a confidentiality. Medical malpractice, the doctor took off your wrong leg, and then he took the other one off, the right one, so you're left, and you sign a confidentiality that you can never talk about it. So no one knows that this doctor is just a hack. And that's a big problem, and that's lawyers' problems. And we got to stop doing that, and I will never do it, and I'm just trying to encourage other lawyers to stop. Just because they flash some money in front of you, don't give up your right to talk about the case. Take them to court, try the case, and then really talk about it.